Welcome back, I'm Akira Sendo, and today we'll be talking about everything you need about 2K20. If I do sound a little funny, I did just come back from the dentist and I can't move half my face, so apologize if I sound really weird. Alright, well, let's get right into it. Alright, number 0. Now this was just more or less broad terms that they kind of just threw out there in the beginning, where it was weight should feel a little bit more realistic, so like a 240 won't be able to catch up to like a 200-pound player. They said improve footwork. I'm assuming that just means you can't just shove and keep tapping L2 until your character fumbles around your defender. They said there's going to be having like a new system where it should make it more valuable for stamina as a more like a finite resource rather than something that's just there that you can just keep pressing the button to sprint. There's going to be a new yellow effect indicator, which like I'm assuming is just going to affect your shots a little bit more. So pretty much like a new Gatorade system is what they're introducing. So Mike Wang talked about a new court awareness feature for the ball handler, where you'll be able to see certain icons or like visual representations of players doing certain actions such as back cutting, rolling off a screen or something like that, which I'm not really too sure how that'll affect. I'm assuming it's more for like play now or like my team kind of stuff, because it is just an overall gameplay blog versus just a my career blog, which I don't know if we'll get one of those tomorrow or something, but that was a little interesting, something that I did pick up on. For signature dribbles, they kind of just talked about how there's going to be an upgrade to the like properly reflecting the array of styles that they've introduced to the game. What I'm assuming is that like they were having a sort of like tripping issue where you couldn't really like portray a certain dribble style on a player that was exceedingly taller than the package they equipped. So I'm assuming that's all they really meant, but I'll look more into that and I'll keep you guys updated on that part. So new dribble animations / concepts they're adding are dead legs / punches, hezzy lifts, and inverts. You know, kind of just trying to broaden more of the dribble style, not necessarily just being queued up moves, but also like trying to add that skill gap is what I'm assuming they're going for with this. When I talk about movement styles, it's really hard to like explain to you what I'm saying, because if you've ever played against certain players, you feel like you can't literally, like they're covered in grease, like they just kind of slip past you regardless of you being in front of them. So I'm glad they finally addressed that there's certain like styles they're adding where it'll be like wiggly, idle stands, like an up-court dribbler, a more athletic player that like focuses on transition plays. So there's more of a, like, I'd say category that some players will feel like they fall into, so you'll be able to say like, oh, this guy likes to move around a lot off ball, or oh, this guy's more of a just spot up shooter and stuff like that, is what I feel like they focus on when they talk about new movement styles, which is really interesting to me because I feel like this has been missing to the game for quite a while now, because I know my build, like the dribbles that he has kind of like fit a certain like style, so I'm assuming this is like a subcategory. So if I'm more of a wiggly kind of player, I'm gonna have like wiggly behind the backs, more like greasy moves, you know, kind of like that. I almost forgot to add, they actually have a list of 27 like styles that you can list from. Some of the ones I'm gonna list off here are just base, big, power, fundamental, quick, slasher, swifty, and then they have more like I'd say like animated styles where it'll be like James Harden, Curry, LeBron, kind of stuff like that. When they talked about new sides-up mechanics, I was kind of like, oh great, here we go again. They always talk about this year. And they just pretty much said the same mold where, so if you pretty much like, you can't chain the moves anymore where you're going to have to like react every time. So if someone pushes you in the middle of a certain move, it might cancel you from being able to do other moves. Stuff like that. Just more like, they put an emphasis on being more fumbly and like a greater chance for it to, like, for something to go wrong if you mess up, or like if you're low on stamina, you're going to be able to get ripped more often. Some of the new moves they added include back wrap escapes, you know, fake step backs. I don't know what they meant by like statter chop steps. I don't know what that is. A new sham god, a couple of them actually, some new fake sham hezzies, and more. They kind of, I wonder if they're going to add park specific size ups too, because they seem to be talking a lot about, I'll get to it later, but they talk about park in a very specific way, so stay tuned into later in the video. Oh man, defense. Every year it's always like, we've improved our defensive system, it's gonna be amazing, you guys are gonna love it. It's always sounds amazing on paper until we actually get into the game, so I'm a little skeptical on, you know, how this will play out. But here's what they said. They added a new arrow for awareness of like, if my stick is gonna point left in a couple seconds, and the game can kind of predict that. I don't know how they're gonna do it, probably just reading my inputs. But you'll be able to see that based on your defensive rating, which I'm assuming lockdowns will be able to see at 24/7 if they have 99 like defensive stats. So there's that arrow, which is really interesting because they borrowed that from live. So That's gonna oof, you know. I'll get later into why that's an oof later, but there's also gonna be a visual representation under the ball handler to his like ball handling, which I mean, if you study the archetypes, you're gonna know who has weak ball handling. But that brings to another measure, which means if there's not going to be archetypes, is this the way to compensate for knowing who has what type of ball handling? They said it's going to be a circle, and the more solid it is, like complete circle, that means they probably have like 99 ball handling. If you see chops and cuts in between it, that means they have a lower ball handling. It's going to be really funny to see like centers who won't have like little chops everywhere. Now for this part of the blog, they kind of just talked about how they wanted to make sure that layups felt a little bit more interactive than right now, where you just kind of hold square and hope that, you know, you get it off at the right time for like certain animations. So they talked about there's going to be more Giannis type layups where you can go, you know, left, right, and then I'm going to release it here, or I'm going to switch it last second and release it over here. So they just wanted the layup to be a little bit more interactive. As well with paint defense, which was they wanted to like balance the post scores out a lot, since that was a big source of contention this year. So there's going to be new animations on both ends, offensively and defensively. I'm not going to go into all of them. You can read the blog, but this is just the most like breakdown level. They really just talked about like certain moves being tweaked and adjusted, and certain moves on defense being able to be tweaked and adjusted. So off-ball jukes are making a return, and there's going to be 3 levels of animations for them. There's going to be elite, pro, and amateur. Now this is interesting because now you're going to be able to, you know, do a fake spin, shutter step them, and this actually ties into perfectly to the next thing, which is there's going to be a new screen system which introduces quick screens, kind of like they said it's going to be very how would I say, high risk, high reward kind of system, where you're going to be able to just tap the screen button, set a quick screen. I'm assuming that's just going to be like one of those like where you pop your hip out and kind of stuff, kind of those types of screens. But I'm glad they're adding something new, because right now I'm just kind of stuck to holding L2, doing that fake spin around to get around a defender to fake them. Pretty much they're putting an emphasis on off-ball movement this year round, which I'm glad they're doing. Not too much to talk about here, but what they did mention was that they are going to bring back rookie mode, because they've clearly made a distinction between that shots are going to fall at a higher percentage on rookie mode versus pro mode, so that's good to see that that's coming back. Although, that could just be for Play Now and my team, because, or not my team, because my team doesn't have difficulties, but that could just be for Play Now, because this is just a gameplay specific blog, not necessarily a my career mode, so my apologies for sounding really excited, but I just kind of caught that and I had to add that back in here later. 80 badges. 80 badges. They said they have added almost double the amount that they had. Now this could just be like mediocre badges, such as, you know, like bringing back glue hands, a bunch of other stuff such like that. But what I think it is are I'm gonna chop it up to about 10 for park, 10 for the rec, 10 for pro-am, and 10 are just gonna be the new, like, I'd say there's either going to be post-scoring badges and off-ball badges, since they seem to mainly talk about that right now in their gameplay blog. So not too much to get really excited about there. But they did mention that the neighborhood is coming back, because they said they're going to bring back park badges specifically for the neighborhood. Takeover is making a return. Now what they did say is Takeover is coming back, and there's going to be more balances to it. But they never talked about archetype-specific takeovers. All they said was there's going to be position and playstyle tweaks to the takeover. So what I'm assuming, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, that we get to choose our own stats. And I don't know how the takeover will work there, where mainly I'm assuming you're gonna pick, okay, what, like, of my main 3 like attributes do I want? So let's say I make a player, right, fresh off the bat. Now I get to choose his 3 major statistical categories. So let's say I want an Anthony Davis type player, which is what I plan to make. So if I want my slashing, my mid-range, and let's say my ball handling, just so I can move up and down the court quicker, I choose those 3 as my main 3 statistical categories. That's going to be what my takeover boosts. That's what my hypothesis is on what the takeover will be. Now, will that necessarily be the case? I'm not too sure, specifically coming down to their esports, where they want to kind of have things a little bit more restrictive so anybody could pick up and play. but we will have to stay tuned to see how that plays out in the future. Now, there was a closing thoughts section to this blog post, which was Mike Wang pretty much just firing off shots saying, you know, the development team did a great job this year. What they did in 1 year, some studios can't even make in a couple year life cycles, which was a shot at EA, which was kind of funny because they did decide to delay their game, which I'm pretty sure is just going to be canceled at this point. But when it comes down to my final thoughts, I thought they did a really good job at explaining the new systems and improvements they made to the game, and I'm actually frankly quite excited for it. As much as a lot of you just say it's just a roster update, you know, I played this game a lot compared to a lot of you, so although that's not a shot at some of you, because I know some of you are a lot higher overall, but I really do enjoy this game, and I really hope that it like thrives into what it can be and the possibilities. Seeing that they're reaching out a lot more to the fans this year, I know that you guys probably are saying, oh, they never listened to us, the server's up, this and that. They're doing what's best for the investors, because at the end of the day, those are the people that give them the money to be able to do this. And now I'm getting into a tangent where a lot of you will be like, oh, money's not an issue for them. But at the end of the day, they're a business, and they really don't necessarily have to listen to any of us. So the fact that they're adding a couple things that we suggested in is a win in of itself. So I hope to see a lot of you out there on September 6th, and it's been Akira Sendo.
Oh my God, if I die, I'm a legend. When they lay me down to rest, I know I was always repping.